David, thanks for the follow. How you doing? And that's great. I just started the YouTube simulcast. Did I don't know if I made a feedback command. There's an email command, but maybe I should have it be feedback. I just set up the bot yesterday. So, yeah, that totally worked. All right, so this is the beginning of the YouTube simulcast. So here is the housekeeping and announcements and stuff. So first off, personal note, I sequenced the Magoo album today to prep it for mastering, and it sounds really huge. I haven't listened to it in a while, and I'm really stoked on it. Magoo will be hopping on stream at the end of the month to break down their single and talk about recording it and how they went about it. It's going to be really awesome, and we'll pull up the mix and do like a full breakdown. I'm really stoked. So I'm announcing it at the top of every single stream. So there's that, and then the rule of the world here: keep chat positive and constructive feedback is the name of the game. We have a lot of people that send like demos or like it's their first time recording and stuff, and I love being able to like maintain this as a place that feels like a place that you can do that you can play like your demos or your first recordings. So keep it posy. That's the rule. And then last up, we have the Patreon shout out, which is going to morph into the Patreon promo page. Folks that hit up the Patreon will. I'm building a little page on my website where people can submit their latest projects or their studio or their services or absolutely anything. And I'll be pointing people to that promo page uh, like at the beginning of videos and like throughout. So, dialing up that content factor. As of now, we have the Patreon shout out for Mason, Tyler, Synux, Elias, and Ian. Thank you very, very much. And I'll have that page up and running pretty soon. Okay, that's the housekeeping stuff. Let's get into stuff. So, David, if you have a track, just send it on to that email and I'll give it a listen. And folks, if you are catching this on Facebook, please note I do not get like push notifications or reliable chat from Facebook. So email me or head to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or YouTube, the Atonuv streaming channel, and that will be a reliable way to get in touch with me. Hey David, could you set this to download? It's with the routing and everything, it's a lot easier to play stuff if I can get the actual files. Cool. Thanks. And this is an entire EP. Is there like a track or two that you would like me to focus on, or just basically I could like deep dive into like a track or two, or just kind of skip around through the entire thing and get the general idea of what's going on. I'll probably do that regardless, but I'm probably not gonna like deep dive all 6 tracks. Cool. 1 and 2. That sounds great. Okay, just skip around. No problem. Cool. And just let me know when these are downloadable. And folks, if you are just getting in, this is a ton of open studio here every single night, 6 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to send tracks anytime to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. It's the email down there. And then there are instructions and guidelines for sending stuff in, scrolling at the top. If you are catching this on Facebook, Facebook does not give me accurate notifications from like group videos and stuff. So email me or head on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv. And there is a YouTube channel. It's a ton of streaming, if that is what you have at your disposal. It is definitely more reliable than like commenting on a video. All right, downloadable. All right, I've got the first 4. Five, 6. All right. Yeah, I like everything. Cool. So, about to play the first stuff of the day. If you're catching this, this is a ton of open studio here every single night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Send tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Read the guidelines up top before you do. And if you are on Facebook and you're catching this, please note I do not get accurate Facebook notifications from like video comments. So email me or head to Twitch or the A Ton of Streaming YouTube page. All right, let's check this stuff out. And David, question right off the bat. Are you bumping these up the limiter for like listening purposes, or is this how hot they are in your session? Yeah, I mean, through streaming, it might sound a little bit different, but I have the raw files in here, so I do know that the files are super hot. So there is, on your end, it might not be the same, but I've got what you got. Cool. Yeah, that's why I ask for the direct files, so that I have exactly what your mix is. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. Okay. David, are you still here? All right, folks, this is a ton of open studio. If you've been working on some stuff and would like some feedback, you can send them to atonuvrecords@gmail.com and I will give them a listen. Just take a look at the guidelines up top and I will dial in some feedback. David, if you are here, let me know and we can hop into your stuff. There's just basically a general thing, frequency mix wise, and then a workflow philosophy thing that I would want to dial in for you. Hey, folks, this is a ton of open studio. If you have been working on some stuff and would like some fresh perspective on it, you can just send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com and I will give everything a listen and get you some top down technical feedback. At any time, feel free to email me at atonuvrecords@gmail.com and just take a look at the guidelines at the top of the screen before you do. Um, that's it. If you are watching on Facebook, just note I do not get accurate, reliable Facebook notifications on comments on videos and groups and stuff. So email me or head over to uh, the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the YouTube channel, which is a ton of streaming, and we can dial in your stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you're just popping in, this is a ton of Open Studio. You can send tracks in anytime for some top to bottom mix feedback with a technical focus on what is going on in your mix. You can send those tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There are some guidelines for submitting stuff. Any genre, any stage of production. Okay, cool. David, you're back. Yeah, I was waiting until you got back. So happy you're back. Yeah, so there's basically I listened to the whole first track and then I kind of like clicked around to see what like on an EP it's like I want to see like what's happening systemically and like if we're getting like a universal thing. Um Oh, sure. Do you want to hold off for a little bit? I'm here every night. If you're getting like computer issues, I can definitely do this another time. Okay, cool. So, if you lose connection or whatever again, just okay. Yeah, I listened to the whole first track and then I listened to like the sections of the whole EP. So, um yeah, and like I was saying, I don't know if you caught it. I like to download the tracks or get the files because there could be translation things that happen like between streaming world and all of that. So I like the raw data, and that's the best way to evaluate what's going on. So, as far as the mixing goes, everything sounds really nice, and these songs are cool. The uh the low end is really crowded at 30 hertz. So if you hit exclamation point 30, it's going to link you to a video about exactly that. So you could check that out. Basically, you're really heavy in a region that you're heavy there because like no speaker unless you're monitoring on like giant festival subs in a huge room, you're not getting like an accurate picture of what's happening at that specific chunk of the like frequency spectrum. So there's a tendency to just hype that range incredibly high, so that it is perceived through a speaker that doesn't produce it accurately. And there are other regions of the low end that we could highlight that's going to provide a more perceivable low end. We're talking about like above 60 hertz, basically. Like 60 is a really nice place for thump that's pretty reliable on a lot of speakers. Now, even 60 on most systems, there is a like lack of efficiency there, but it's still like perceivable. And then like big perceivable low end is between 100 and 200. So if you take some of that energy and then move it into the perceivable world, you'll actually have a mix that sounds more bassy, and you'll have more headroom to push overall volume and your overall mix. Uh, and then this is with the exception of single two, that track. You're very skimpy on the mids. Like it's basically totally scooped out from 500 to 2K. Uh, and we would want to bring definition into that region. Um, on like all of these mixes except for single two. And that you've crowded all of your instrument information between 500 and 1K and then scooped out 1 to 2K. So you would want to kind of shave back some of that because like single two is a little bit like boxy and pokey, a little bit ice picky because we're overrepresented between 500 and 1K. And then we would want to spread that out into 1 to 2K as well and just kind of like gloop it down into that mid range. And then that's going to fix a lot of your frequency response stuff. And basically, I'm going to guess that you're monitoring on headphones or maybe KRKs would be my guess. And that would explain how this mix is like shaping up. Um, the so, but I think that these songs are cool, and the sound design is good, and the sample selection is good, and that's like most of the battle. Like once you shape this a little more disciplined. Okay, M audios. Uh yeah, okay, so and the fives too. So those have no low end. Do you have a sub in the room? That explains a lot. And the M audios are like really hyped at 100 to 200, and that explains a lot of that mix. So the okay. So shape that mix up a little bit more, be more disciplined with that like below 60 range, spread stuff up into the perceivable bass range. Unfortunately, on those monitors and then probably in your room, you're going to be dealing with like putting bass into 100 and 200 is very, very likely going to feel great. That's awesome. Mix there if you can, because you're going to get a false perception of low end, and you'll be skimpy on the parts of the track that matter. So 100 to 200 hertz, more perceivable bass, and then we have to give definition to that mid range from 500 to 2K on every track, with the exception of single two. Okay, now the thing that has to be dialed in, especially because vocals haven't even been added, is a gain staging philosophy and discipline. So, these tracks are already pinned to like 0, and some of them are clipping. So you gotta like gain staging, you could do a Google, do a YouTube, but in a nutshell, the basic philosophy there is that you're controlling your levels from the very, very beginning of your mix, and you're using like gain plugins between every single plugin that you're doing, between every single move that you make. You make constant gain adjustments to keep a steady gain from beginning to end of processing. And then you are also hitting a steady target of a peak value that is more like -18, -12, -6, depending on your philosophy and your workflow. What really truly matters is getting away from a mix that's peaking or clipping before it's even in end game. And we can kind of think of a mix as like an opening move, middle game, and end game. And you are in like middle game right now, and you've already like blown the mix up. So to gain stage, the slightly pedantic target is -18 dBFS. The reason for this is there are a fair number of analog style plugins that will introduce clipping or distortion if you push them past -18 dBFS. That's totally true, but also some of them are -12 dBFS. So you have to read a manual, and then you have to know. And the thing about that is that some plugins you could push all the way and it doesn't matter, and they won't clip. Some plugins do. And some plugins we want to introduce that like it's a programmed like saturation, and we want to push them a little bit. So it is a slightly good rule to have that target of -18 dB. The thing is that's most important about it is that you're setting up a mix structure that you won't be looking for room as you enter the last part of your mix. And also, if you can get your mix really detailed and sounding huge, with like a bunch of headroom left, then your mix is going to be better, and you're going to be forced to kind of make better decisions. And then what you do is you calibrate your stuff so that basically you just set a lower target on your final output, and then you turn your monitors up so that you're still feeling like you're getting like a loud mix, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Saves you time at the end of the mix. And like with how this mix is sitting right now, you're gonna have a hard time like getting vocals on top of this, or like making a bunch of mix changes is gonna be way more frustrating to make things like fall in line and work with each other without this like gain staging philosophy. So like to do like the gain staging, it's like you load up your session and you throw a gain plugin or a mix tool. I don't remember what it's called on FL. It might just be called gain. And then you just calibrate every single track so that it's hitting like some sort of predetermined number, -18, -12, whatever. There are reasons for any of those numbers and reasons not. Doesn't really matter. It's just that we don't want to be looking at 0 at the beginning of a mix. Calibrate that, and then as you introduce plugins, you use the output gain of a given plugin if it has it, or you pop another gain plugin in between plugins, and then you are adjusting the gain between plugins so that we're getting the same output on the track. And what this does is it also forces us to think about our moves as we make them. First off, we don't like get as much of like a louder is better effect if we're controlling your levels. So you can do a boost EQ and then bring the track down, then you know that you in fact have made it better, so on and so forth. And if you want to add volume to a track, like that's the other thing. This is why the imaginary target isn't necessarily the right answer. It's like at the point where we're like, I want this track to be louder, then you very purposefully make it louder. You're making a decision rather than it being a consequence of just like, oh, I put a bunch of plugins on this track and now it's really loud. And then this also opens us up to basically the philosophy of you do all of this gain structuring, and then at the end of your mix, when you hit end game, you're able to have your faders, almost 100% of them at unity. So the faders haven't moved at all. And now you can do like last little bits of automation and like life breathing into the mix with faders that are all just uniform, and you can do little tiny movements and get like a big feel out of it. And that's it. I hope you're still here. I hope you didn't disconnect again, because that was a lot. But I don't care. I'll say it again. I generally wind up talking about this for a while every stream. So, folks, this is a ton of Open Studios. We are here every single night, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you are catching this on Facebook, please note I do not get accurate Facebook notifications. So email me or head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the YouTube Atonuv streaming channel. Hey, folks, this is a ton of Open Studio, here every single night at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you have been working on some new recordings and you would like some technically focused feedback, you can send those tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There are some guidelines scrolling at the top of the screen. Please read those before you send something in. I'm happy to listen to anything in any stage of production, in any genre, and get it sounding cool. If you are watching on Facebook, please note I do not get accurate notifications of like video comments and stuff, so email me or head over to Twitch, and we will be able to dial in through a reliable chat and communications method. I hope everyone is doing great and having an overall nice time. And while we wait for tracks, I'm going to go ahead and turn the dog cam back on. The true hero of this stream is Guinness. Look at him. He's an absolute unit. And he will basically spend the entire time just right there, like a champ. At any time, you can send me a track to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. If you are catching this on Facebook, the group video shares do not really send reliable notifications if you comment on them or anything like that. So send me an email or head to Twitch or the A Ton of Streaming YouTube channel. All right. I'll try big face little dog for a little bit. I guess, I want to imagine Guinness as the star of the show, but maybe we're more reassured by a human engineer than a dog engineer, even though their ears are so much better than ours. Folks, if you are working on a mix and would like some feedback on it, feel free to send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and I will help you dial in this mix and clean it up and polish it up, shine it up, so on and so forth. If you are catching this on Facebook, Facebook notifications do not really accurately push for live videos and groups and stuff. So head over to Twitch or the YouTube A Ton of Streaming page, and I will be able to accurately respond to chat and stuff. We had some stuff from David, but I'm assuming that his computer is just like disconnecting him and stuff. So I hope you're okay. I hope your computer's okay. I understand your pain. And this is A Ton of Open Studio, here every single night at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you've been working on something, you can send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There are some guidelines for how to send and what to send it, why to send it, so on and so forth. Up top, give those a read before you send me an email. There is a Discord if you want to hang out with some cool folks. We got like 10 awesome people on there right now. There's a little bit of collaboration happening now and then. Yeah, yesterday was really awesome. Had a bunch of tracks come in and did like non-stop marathon stuff for about 5 hours. It felt awesome. We'll see what happens tonight. Nothing in the inbox as of right now, but feel free to send something in whenever. And again, if you are catching this on Facebook, there is not a great. Facebook doesn't really accurately push comment notifications on videos in groups and stuff. So head over to Twitch or send me an email or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel. And we'll be able to accurately dial in feedback over there. This is a ton of Open Studio. I'm here every single night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you've been working on a track and you want some technical focused feedback on what you've been doing, you can send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. And there are some guidelines for sending in tracks scrolling up at the top of the screen. If you are catching this on Facebook, Facebook doesn't really accurately push like comment notifications on videos and stuff, so I generally can't see if you're commenting or asking me stuff. So send me an email or head over to twitch.tv/Atonuv or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube page, and that will work best. And I'm happy to listen to anything, any genre, any stage of production, etc., 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 etc. Folks, if anyone is popping in, this is a ton of Open Studio. I'm here every single night, about 6 p.m. Eastern. If you have been working on a track and would like some fresh ears and a second mind on your mix, you can send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There are guidelines for what to send and how to send it, scrolling at the top of the video right there. Give those a read before you send something in. Share the link around, share the love. Last night had a big old crowd show up, and it was really cool. We'll see if we can capture that magic again. If not, still happy to be here. Feel free to send something in absolutely anytime. If you're watching on Facebook, I do not get accurate notifications. Like sometimes I'll get a notification on a comment in a video like 2 days later. You know, no good for this kind of interaction. So email me or head over to Twitch or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube page, and that is an accurate and reliable way to talk to me while we go through your mix. And yep, that's it. Nothing so far. We had an EP from David earlier, but I think that David's computer exploded. So, hopefully I'll catch you again, and we can help dial in some stuff. And again, if you are catching this on Facebook, I don't get like up to the second accurate Facebook comment notifications. So definitely just email me or head over to Twitch, and that is the most solid, accurate way to send me your stuff. Here we are, Tuesday night, middle of January. Hope everyone is warm and comfy and doing great. Maybe you're just shut in your house and working on a mix, and you are, maybe you've lost some perspective. Maybe you're a little bit lost in the sauce and would like a new brain to see what's going on in it. Well, I'm happy to take a listen. I've got a room. It's totally flat, dialed in, and accurate. Feel free to send me a track to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. It's right down there. There are some guidelines of what to send and how to send it scrolling at the top of the screen. Happy to listen to anything at any stage of production in any genre. That's basically it. If you're watching on Facebook, I don't get Facebook notifications accurately from live videos and stuff. So head on over to the Twitch or the A Ton of Streaming YouTube, or just send me an email. And that is a solid way to get a hold of me. Hey, cool people. You have been working on a recording and would like some new perspective on your mix, you can send it to me at absolutely any time. This is an open studio here every single night, starting at about 6 p.m. Eastern. You can send tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. It's that email right down there. And there are guidelines for what to send and how to send it, so on and so forth, scrolling at the top of the page. If you are catching this on Facebook, Facebook does not send accurate notifications on live videos for me. So pop on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel, and we'll be able to accurately chat. Or you can just send me an email, which again is atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Hope everyone is great. Hope everyone is warm and making cool music, having a good time, dialing in those final compressors, sweetening up the buses, organizing your sessions, uh, engaging in good, proper gain staging structures and philosophies, an appropriate amount of stereo width, etc., thumping bass lines. I wish all of these to you. And again, if you're catching this on Facebook, I don't get it doesn't push accurate like comment notifications at like the time in which they're received, etc. Send me an email or head over to Twitch or the A Ton of Streaming YouTube channel, and that'll be the most accurate way to get a hold of me. Hey, folks, it's a ton of records. A nightly, technically focused mix feedback live stream. If you are catching this on Facebook, please note that it doesn't push accurate comment notifications. So send me an email or head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel, and we'll be able to accurately chat over there. Or just send me an email. It's at atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Solid way to get a hold of me. And I will take a listen to any track in any genre at any stage of production and help you dial in some technically focused feedback. Mm-hmm. 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 And yeah, just sharing this link around. If you're catching this on Facebook, I don't really get accurate and up to date um, uh, Facebook notifications. So head over to Twitch or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel, and that'll be an accurate way to So this is a ton of open studios, and here every single night starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you've been working on some music and would like some fresh perspective on it, you can drop me an email at atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and I will listen to anything, any genre, any style, any stage of production. If you are catching this on Facebook, please note I don't get accurate Facebook comment notifications. So head over to the Twitch or send me an email or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel, and that'll be an accurate way to get a hold of me. And yeah, it's technically focused feedback. You know, maybe your kick is a little overcompressed, or the vocals don't have enough mid range definition, or it's clashing with the upper harmonics of your bass line. And neither of them are really poking out over the top of the mix the way that you would like them to. Well, I'm happy to help you come up with solutions to fix that. Just send me an email. Email is listed at the bottom of the video, and then there are some guidelines for sending in tracks scrolling at the top. I currently don't have anything in the inbox. Slow night so far. That's cool. Last night was massive. But at any time, you can send something in to atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and I will happily take a listen. If you are catching this on Facebook, Facebook does not send accurate comment notifications. So email me or jump over to twitch.tv/Atonuv or the Atonuv streaming YouTube channel. And I'll be able to keep track of chat down there. Hope you're good. Hope you're warm. Safe and cozy. Yeah, this is a ton of open studio. If you're catching this on Facebook, please note that I don't really get accurate comment notifications. Sometimes I'll get something like a day later or 2 days later on a video. Can't see everything, etc., etc. So to get a hold of me, email me at atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Head over to twitch.tv/Atonuv or the Atonuv streaming YouTube channel. Those are nice and accurate ways to get a hold of me. And yeah, if you have been working on a mix and would like some new perspective on it, you can just send me that email, send me that track. I'll play it over the stream and help you dial in that mix. And yeah, know that this isn't like a music review show or anything like that. This is just dedicated to like mixing feedback, mixing techniques, getting that final bit of loudness out of a track. If you're catching this on Facebook, Facebook doesn't really send me accurate comment notifications on like videos posted in groups and stuff. So head over to the Atonuv streaming YouTube channel or twitch.tv/Atonuv, or just email me at atonuvrecords@gmail.com and I will dial in your track. So, folks, this is a ton of Open Studio. I'm here every night starting at about 6 p.m. Eastern. If you have been working on a mix and would like some technical focused feedback, you can send that to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There's some guidelines of what to send and how to send it scrolling up top. This is not like a music review show or like a playback radio thing. This is focused on technical support for your mix, tightening up your frequency response, your stereo field. Maybe you're compressing too much, maybe you're not compressing enough, etc., etc. If you are catching this on Facebook, head over to Twitch or send me an email or the Ton of Streaming YouTube channel. Facebook does not really push me accurate live notifications on like group videos and stuff. So meet me elsewhere because I would love to hear your track and be able to accurately chat with you and so on and so forth. And yesterday we had a huge day, big stream, just like 5 hours of straight feedback. Tonight is a little bit slow, so I'm absolutely cool with that as well. But I'm happy to listen to anything at any point, any stage of production, any genre. Just thrilled to listen. Hey, folks, this is a ton of Open Studio. I hope you're doing great. This is a nightly live stream. Starts at about 6 p.m. Eastern. You can send some tracks for like live mix feedback and technical support. My email is at the bottom of the screen. Guidelines are up top. Just give those a read. The if you're catching this on Facebook, please note that it doesn't really push me accurate video notifications and comment notifications, etc., etc. So email me or head over to Twitch or the A Ton of Streaming YouTube channel. Hey, folks, this is a ton of Open Studio. This is a nightly mix feedback live stream. The basically, I take a listen to tracks, any genre, any style, any stage of production, and I will give you some technical feedback on your mix. This isn't like a music review show or something like that. This is dialed in technical support for your um, for your mix. I'm an audio engineer. I love doing it. Love helping people out. Love listening to, you know, the new stuff that people are making. That's how this works. If you catch this on Facebook, please note that there is a not a reliable chat on Facebook. So send me an email or head over to Twitch or the YouTube channel, A Ton of Streaming. And that's it. Happy to be here. Happy to listen to your stuff. Last night was a huge, like 5 hour stream where we just had track after track after track nonstop. Uh, Tonight, pretty slow, but still happy to be here. Had a cool indie hip hop EP at the beginning. Okay, cool. Just got something from Hyper 2003. Let's give this a listen. This is some drill. That's cool. Love a bit of drill. And folks, if you are just popping in, this is a ton of Open Studio. I'm here every night starting at about 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you are working on something new and would like some feedback, just send it on over to my email and I will give it a listen and help you dial in this track. All right, here is some drill from Hyper 2003. play it a fade for you. So, Hyper, I know you're like watching on Facebook and can't really chat as a result. So I'm going to kind of talk into a vacuum, which is always just a little bit weird for me. But basically, this is a great track, and I really, I like drill, and I like what you're doing here, and I think it is a very good mix above 200 hertz. And there's a few things to dial in 200 and below. So basically, your like 808 is very, very, very centered from like from like 30 to 90, 20 to 90 even. And it's like it's huge, absolutely, but it's not giving us much of a perceivable bass or perceivable low end. And we also have this clashing happening between that bass and your kick, to the point where your kick is tuned up pretty high, which it happens on stuff where like it gets crowded, and we could have a more like fundamental like heartbeat driving kick if we carved away like some information from 30 to 60 on that 808. And put the kick there, or we could keep the kick where it is. It's hanging out at like 100, 90, 100, so it's really throaty. And generally for something that's like going hard, I want it tuned lower, but that's like artistic discretion. But what we want to do is we want to take that 808 and give it some presence from 100 to 200. That's where you're going to get perceivable low end. So we can take some of that 30 to 60 out and then put it into 100 and 200. It's going to sound a little bit bigger. We could also push it a little bit into the mid-range at like 600, 700 and get harmonic excitement so that the low end feels really big. Especially on drill, we want the low end to really, really drive the song, So we need to have some, 100 to 200 is crucial for like perceivable low end push. And then that mid-range definition, like some saturated mid-range, harmonic distortion, et cetera, is going to really help that bass, first off, be really present in general, but then also translate to a variety of systems. And then speaking of translation, I am feeling like this might have been a headphone mix. There is a fair amount of mono cancellation when we collapse this, and it's like you've got like a very, very like wide verb on the main sample, and it definitely feels like we get a lot of life sucked out in mono, and just it's totally fine, especially for a modern mix and especially for something new, to lose like a fair degree of definition in the upper end when we collapse to mono, but always make sure that it's purposeful and that you know that it's happening. So if you're cool with it, great. But just know you're losing a lot in mono. Then let's see, mid-range. So this mix is it's pinned, like so it looks like there's been a limiter applied, but it's also not very loud. So we would want to, and I don't know if this is like if you threw a limiter on and this is kind of like a fake master, or kind of what stage it's at. But I would say like definitely look into gain staging your mix. Like if this is the mix, then your gain staging is off. And then general like gain stage control is always good. But like this is limited and it's not loud. And so this would need to, hopefully you could take the limiter off on the mix, and then you would want to open up a new master session, and you would want to push into your limiter a little bit harder. There's like quite a bit of room for this to get louder. And that's basically it. I love the track. I love the vibe. I think you're doing really cool stuff. And folks, if you are just popping in, this is a ton of Open Studio here every single night, starting at about 6 p.m. Eastern. If you would like some technical feedback on your mix, you can send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. It is this email address right down there. There are some guidelines for sending stuff in, scrolling at the top of the page. If you are catching this on Facebook, just note that it doesn't really toss me accurate live notifications. So send me an email or hop over to Twitch or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel, and that will provide me with up to the date information on what you're saying to me. And yeah, here every single night. It's really fun. Listen to a lot of cool music. Last night was really like crazy busy. Tonight, quite slow. So it's kind of a nice change of pace. Mhm. Well, I hope everyone is staying safe and warm and having a good time, working on cool music. I'm going to stick around until at least 8. Sometimes we get some like a contingent of late folks, so we'll see if they show up. Real busy yesterday, slow today. But it's nice to be able to just relax, and let's put dog cam back on. Look at him. Perfect. Yes, he is good. That is a good dog. Hey, folks, this is a ton of Open Studio here every single night at 6 p.m. Eastern to help you dial in technical support on your mix. This is not a music review show or a radio show or anything like that. No, like paying me to play your track or anything crazy like that. I'm just an audio engineer who really, really likes helping people dial in their mixes. So, if you've been working on something and would like to get some technical support on it, you can just drop it into my email or, you know, read the guidelines scrolling at the top of the page before you do. Facebook does not send me accurate notifications on videos, so head over to twitch.tv/Atonuv or um, the Atonuv streaming YouTube channel, or just drop me an email, and those will all be accurate ways of getting a hold of me. I'll listen to any style of track, any genre, and it can be in any stage of production. Happy to listen to like demos or rough ideas or completely and totally finished tracks. Absolutely anything goes. Just let me know if you're using like a bunch of copyrighted stuff, samples and such, and I will play it muted on stream so that I, you know, stay clear of the musical police. Yeah, again, if you're catching this on YouTube, on Facebook, Facebook does not push accurate notifications on comments and stuff. So send me an email or head over to Twitch, and I will happily take a listen to your track. And again, this is not like a radio or music review, pay to play thing. This is just technical feedback on your mix and how to clean it up. Okay. If you are just walking in, this is a ton of Open Studio here every single night. It starts about 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you have been working on a mix and would like a fresh bit of perspective on it, feel free to send it absolutely anytime to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There's some guidelines for sending in tracks up at the top of the screen up there. And if you're catching this on Facebook, please note I don't get accurate Facebook comment notifications, and this is very, very based on like communication and feedback and stuff. So send me an email or ideally head over to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Atonuv or the Atonuv streaming YouTube channel. This is focused on technical feedback on your mix, on your recording. This is not a review show or a radio show or anything like that. There's no pay to play. There's nothing like that. I'm just an audio engineer to give you some technical support. That be the deal. That be the content. That is the format. Mm-hmm. Hey, folks, if you are just catching this, this is a ton of Open Studio. I am an audio engineer here to give free mix tips and advice on whatever it is that you're working on, any genre, any stage of production. All you got to do is send me a track to my email. It's listed right down there. There are some guidelines for what to send in and how to send it up at the top. And if you are catching this on Facebook, please note that I don't really get like accurate notifications on live videos and stuff. So ideally, head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel, and we can accurately chat. I also like to, communicate with people while we dial in a track and do all that. So those are better for that. In a pinch, you can just email me, and that'll push a notification accurately my way. And yeah, I do this every single night, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. Yesterday, crazy busy, lots of stuff, lots of people, really fun time, big hang. It was sweet. Tonight, kind of slow, but still having a great time. We heard some really good drill just like 10 minutes ago. Had a nice time with that. And like a little like indie hip hop EP at the beginning of the whole stream. So it's been pretty good. And at any time, feel free to send me something and we can dial this in. And again, if you're catching this on Facebook, Facebook's not a great way to communicate via comments and all of that. So ideally, head over to Twitch. The Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel also works. And this is, once again, not like a mix review or like radio show or whatever. There's no pay to play. There's no nothing like that. This is just pure audio engineering feedback on what you're working on. If you happen to be walking in, this is a ton of Open Studio. This is a nightly mix feedback technical support stream. I am here every night starting around 6 p.m. Eastern. If you have been working on a mix and would like a fresh perspective on it, I'm happy to take a listen and help you out. This is not like a radio or mix review show. There's no pay to play, nothing like that. I just like listening to people working on cool stuff, and I like helping out. So feel free to send tracks to atonuvrecords at gmail.com. There are some guidelines for what to send and how to send it. Scrolling at the top of the page. If you are catching this on Facebook, please note that it is not an ideal place to communicate, as video notifications aren't like accurate or instantaneous. And I do like to chat with people to see how they went about recording stuff and how we can dial in like your monitor setup, etc., etc., etc. I like to be able to actually talk to you. So ideally, head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel. But if none of that is available to you and will not work for whatever reason, you can also communicate via email, the atonuvrecords at gmail.com, and we can handle stuff there as well. Basically, I'm thrilled to do this no matter what. Pretty slow tonight, Tuesday, but last night was Monday, and it was just really, really off the hook. Had a great time, listened to a ton of stuff. We had it was like 5 hours straight, nonstop tracks coming in. Sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes it's just hanging out with Guinness the dog and catching up on my emails, organizing stuff. Oh no, is Guinness gonna go? Nah, he's just getting cozy again. Good job, dude. Yeah, last night, crazy good. Crazy good hang. If you are just getting in or catching this on any of the internet places, this is a ton of open studio. We're here every single night, starting at about 6 p.m. Eastern. If you have been working on a mix and would like some, this is a little bit like the world's longest concert. I'm just holding it down, and then sometimes magic happens. Yeah, if you are just rolling in, This is a ton of open studio. Sometimes it's super busy. Sometimes it's real chill and we just hang out with this dog. Tonight's one of those chill nights. If you have been working on a mix and would like some fresh perspective on it, you can send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There are some guidelines on how to go about sending stuff in up at the top of the screen. And that's it. That's how this works. If you're watching this on Facebook, Facebook is not an accurate way to communicate, like via comments and stuff. I sometimes don't get those comments until days later. So email me, or ideally head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel. And, this has been spammed to a bunch of groups and stuff, but please note that this is not like a mix review show. There is no pay to play. There's none of that craziness. This is pure mix feedback from a technical engineering perspective, and I just like doing it. So send me a track, hang out, ask questions, etc., etc. That's how we roll. And yeah, this is nightly. There's a group of people that sometimes show up towards the later side, so I'm going to keep this stream rolling, just in case we get some of those folks. If not, it was a solid hang. Had some cool drill come in just a little bit ago. That was a fun listen. And like a little indie hip hop EP at the beginning of the night. So cool stuff. Solid work by the folks. Just a general, gain staging. Kind of the name of the game tonight. And if you are catching this on Facebook, please note that Facebook pretty lousy at like sending live notifications and stuff. So ideally head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the YouTube Atonuv streaming channel. We can communicate more accurately there. And email also works, atonuvrecords@gmail.com. And this is, technical engineering perspective on your mix. Happy to provide it, happy to hang out. Hoping everyone is cozy. Oh. It's a slow one tonight. That's the way it is sometimes. Sometimes it's absolutely crazy. Last night, huge. Maybe it's like an every other day thing. Maybe tomorrow it's going to be off the chain. And folks, this is a ton of Open Studio here nightly, starting about 6 p.m. Eastern. If you are looking for some technical feedback on your mix, you can send it to my email at absolutely any time. It's atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There's some guidelines for sending in tracks scrolling at the top of the video. Give those a look. And if you're catching this on Facebook, please note that it doesn't really provide accurate notifications on like video comments and stuff. So ideally, head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv streaming YouTube channel. And this has definitely been spammed to a bunch of Facebook groups and stuff. So if you're catching it over there, note that this isn't like a music review show. There's no pay to play, no just none of that. This is just engineering feedback on your mix. Mm-hmm. If you are just popping in, this is Atonuv Open Studio. This is nightly mix feedback, totally free, bottom to top, top to bottom, engineering perspective on your mix. How's your EQ? How's your dynamic range? What kind of stuff could we do to sparkle up and spice up this mix? If you are catching this on Facebook, please note that it's pretty lousy for communicating as far as like comment notifications and stuff. So send me an email, or ideally head on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv streaming YouTube channel. And this is all genres, all stages of productions. It can be in the recording phase, in the rough mix territory, final mixes, final masters, and then just that like little bit of dialed in feedback and perspective on that mix. I just love hearing what people are doing. Here every single night, starting at about 6 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes it is crazy busy, sometimes it is not. Tonight is one of those nights where it is not busy. But uh, there's occasionally some folks that show up a little bit later into the evening, so I'm just going to keep this going in case we run into those regulars. And if not, go ahead and call it for the night. But it's a fun time. It's a fun hang. Hey, folks, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great night. This is a ton of open studio. If you are working on a track and would like some technical perspective on your mix, you can send it to my email, which is atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Uh, Send it anytime, any genre, any stage of production. And if you're catching this on Facebook, please note that Facebook comments pretty lousy way to communicate. So ideally, could head over to the Twitch chat, twitch.tv/Atonuv, or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel. Both of those work great. And in a pinch, just emailing me is pretty solid too. And, I know the environment of like Facebook groups and stuff, so just definitely know that this is not like a mix review show. There's no pay to play, no like line skips and stuff like that. This is just engineering perspective on your mix. So, for just getting things a little bit better. Yeah, 12 in 3 days is pretty good. And fourth Colin, how you doing? Tonight is a little bit slow, in all honesty. Last night, really good, but it's a chill one tonight. Kind of the classic awkward silence stream. I know you were missing it, so we're right back to it. Mm-hmm. Just checking the email, organizing stuff. I did earlier today. I sequenced an album that I've been working on. Did the mix and everything, and then stepped away from it for a while to get some fresh perspective. And now I'm gonna run it through the mastering chain, and it was really awesome to hear something like for the first time in a long while. And it's gonna be just like a really big rock sound, super. Basically, you know, put that on right before the stream, and that's just carrying me through the whole thing. I'm in a great mood. Oh, that's sweet. That's always a nice bonus when stuff is in a little better shape than you remember it being in. That's awesome. That dog is perfect. Had to go full dog for a second. Oh, for anyone just popping in, this is a ton of open studio. If you're catching this on Facebook, please note uh, video comments and stuff don't really accurately push in real time, so it's a pretty lousy way to communicate. Ideally, just pop on over to twitch.tv/Atonuv or the Atonuv Streaming YouTube channel. Or in a pinch, you can email me at atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Dial in some technical feedback on your mix. Cool. Yeah, feel free to send something. I'm happy to take a listen. Okay. I mean, it's over compressed. That's oh yeah, nothing but time. And I'll give this a listen, and then I'll kind of let that metaphysically signal if I'm going to stick around. If we get some more folks in here between now and the end of your track, I'll stick around for a bit. And then if not, I think I might just sign off early if we're not getting the uh, the crowds. And I made a robot happen. Look at that. It says the thing. And folks, if you are just popping in, you can send a track for some top-down technical engineering feedback on your mix. You can just send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. You can just read the message that that robot just wrote, or you can talk to the robot. That's cool too. Hey, what's up, Ian? Uh, it's I Ian, I can't even remember if you were here last night. There was so much happening, and tonight is just a really big counterbalance to yesterday. It's been pretty slow, um, but I know that you posted that track in the Discord, so I could definitely take a listen and let you know if you are finally forever done. Looks like we're on mix 17. Uh, I would hope that that does the trick. Ooh. Okay, I mean, the quick revisions is good. At least it's not like paced out over a year. That's you're on the you're on track. And is this project, is it just a single? Is it just this thing that you're working on, or is there more to this series? And fourth Colin, I'm gonna check out this mix while you re-render that track. Okay, nice. I wouldn't want you to put in this much work for um, for no money. Yeah, that happens. But also, I mean, there's a point at which you're too involved, and you're like, there's some stuff that you gotta, back away from, unless it's like a huge thing, like there's like something's falling over in the background or something.
I know it's way too much to ask, but I can't go on if you love me back. So I ask, my words just ricochet. So slide beneath the trees. The
Nice.
whole world spins right by. Tell me what you need, just a little room to breathe. It hurts my pride, and you cry. You and I both ricochet.
For anyone just popping in, this is a ton of Open Studio. Feel free to send in tracks if you Spock, clean up your hard drive.
My heart is like an ocean. Your heart is frozen still. Where I waited all night for one word from you, waited for nothing. Coming up from the ground, sun shines through the morning haze.
Spock, you be creepin'.
It's not that we're at all the same,
Yeah, Fourth Calling, have you not heard this track yet?
but it's a single shadow
Ian's been bouncing a few revisions off.
just before we
It's really good. That's cool. Yeah,
all began.
cool. Yeah, it's a great track. This is solid. All right. Oh, cool. Yeah, we should all look that up. And, we'll definitely, link to it once this is out and get folks listening to it. This rules, man. I mean, it's such a good song. It sounds great. Uh, there, I just want to bring up three things, and these are once they're not mission critical, okay? But I'm gonna say them. There is a fair amount of like low end, just like garbage stuff below like 16. I mean, like on a track like this, we could probably clean it up all the way up to like 25, 30 hertz, maybe. Um, and that's just like high passable in the master, and I wouldn't even worry about it. But just know that there's some murky stuff down there. Once the big chorus hits, there's a fair amount of phasey stuff, like on that saxophone reverb and everything. Doesn't sound bad, collapsed to mono, but once again, just like I just like to point it out to folks. Just make sure that you're cool with it. And then maybe like reference this on like a Bluetooth speaker or a phone or something, and just make sure that it's still punch in the way that you would like it to happen. And this is a little like, once again, I know that like the artist is thrilled. And once again, I'm gonna advocate for you. Like, this is a really, really, really good mix, and it's like I would, hire you as a mixer person. And I know that you're just kind of like getting your feet into the water, but like this is a really, really, really good mix, and you could leverage this into getting paid and like a good amount of money to do stuff, because it's good. It's really good. It's a great song, and it showcases what you're doing. So yeah, I want to do like, once again, like everything that you can do in the mix and not rely on doing it in the master, the better. And it's like I would do some like I would just do like aggressive brick wally cuts at like 20, and depending on the instrument, up a little bit higher, and just like cut it at the source at the track level. But also we're dealing with like it would be fixable in the master at where it's at right now. So take it or leave it. Um, yeah, I mean, you could absolutely build a portfolio off of this. This is a great mix. It's a great song. It's a really good thing. But also, you're investing in your future by taking the time to get this mix. But also, as a like, you want to develop like a philosophy of like, I am done with this to a degree. Um, so yeah, there's a little bit of that like blobby stuff down there. Um, Yeah, linear phase matters a little bit more here, especially for like big cuts. Grab like the Fab filter has a linear mode, or like a lot of stock plugins do too. Um, yeah, that's safe. Okay, so blobby stuff down there. There's that phasing in the chorus. Make sure you're cool with it. Double check it. Grab like a cheapy Bluetooth and see if it hits for you. And and then the other thing is like, I know that the artist is stoked. I know that you're stoked, and I know that this is a good mix. But do note that this is a little bit on the dull side. There's not a lot happening um, above like, I mean, there's plenty happening above 8K, but it's not quite as lifted as like a modern mix. Like like I would just pull up like flat out like the newest Flaming Lips as a reference, and like it's gonna be a little bit brighter. And But this is also has like a big like mellow classic sound, and this would be absolutely appropriate if that's what we're going for. But also note that in the marketplace of ideas or whatever, it would be a little bit brighter. Um, the And that's it. That's all that and then I would just like slam it through a solid master. Are you also mastering this? I guess is my final question. Or are they sending it off to somebody else? And folks, if you're just popping in, this is a ton of open studio here every single night, starting about 6 p.m. Eastern. If you've been working on a mix and would like to send it in, you can send it in to my email listed down below. There are guidelines scrolling up top. Yeah, that's it. That's how it works. Happy to be here. Okay, great. Uh, then yeah, fourth Discord will work great. And that's awesome. Then you're basically done here. Like, your mix is good. You could consider brightening it. You could consider that phasing thing. And I don't normally do this, but like, I am a mastering engineer, and I do think this track rules. So if you're sending it off, I do free the my. I try to divorce the stream from my business, but um, I do a free like minute sample, and then it's $50 a track, unlimited revisions per file. Like, if there doesn't have to be a new instrument added in or a new mix comes in. That's it. Those are my policies. I will just subtly put that out there. Dope. And yeah, the first part of my process is literally like that's I operate from a perspective of like everything is best fixed in the mix, and then generally in mastering, I literally do what I do on the stream, which is just analyze the mix and then poke out like little things that could get improved. So it's kind of like it's already kind of happened. But also, if they got a person, use that person. Mm. Um, so I wouldn't like okay, so like at this point in the mix, like if you are concerned, like what I would literally do is just bring in a clariphonic and just put a little bit. I wouldn't like in my personal philosophy, so it's like pretty scoopy from like 8K on down, and my thinking would be to preserve the character of the mix, as this is like, I respect that the final mix is the final mix, and I would just gently shelf up, and we're talking about like dB and a half above there, just to kind of like imperceptibly take the blanket off of the speakers. That would be my move on the master. So I wouldn't just toss something on the two bus at this point, because it's gonna be what it's gonna happen in mastering anyway. So then it's just gonna like no matter basically no matter who you send it to, they're probably gonna brighten this a little bit. Um and yeah, the 30 robot works. So uh the okay, so like no matter who you send it to, they're gonna bump up the high end a little bit. So if you bump up the high end on the 2 track, then it's gonna be kind of an arms race. So I would say either leave it as is, um, and do the like leave it as is, and then just expect that it's gonna get shined up a little bit on the master. Totally cool. Or go and do targeted lifting on an instrument by instrument basis, which I understand the hesitancy to do, especially since this is like an approved final mix from the client. Like, you don't want to go making a bunch of drastic changes on the mix at this stage in the game. It could throw off the whole, it could throw it all into disarray. Like, for sure. I understand where you're at. So, yeah, those are your two options. Like, expect it to get brightened, or do it on a track by track basis. You know, clubs love me because clubs have subwoofers and they have a front of house engineer that can boost the appropriate sub frequency for the room. Clubs love me. Cool. Ian, I'll catch you later. Really, really awesome track. It's really good. Or like, I mean, also like, don't feel pressured to try to brighten this mix. Like, this mix is really good. I hope you're catching this. But uh the the deal is like, I would save this as a new session and just go back to this mix if it doesn't work out. Like, this is a perfectly good thing. And yeah, it's a good mix. All right, fourth, let's check out this track. No, it's good. It's good. No, it's actually remarkably controlled. I'm gonna dial in like a surprising point, where it's a little bit too bricked out, but it's gonna be shocking. It's pretty good. Okay. It's bordering on phasey. Make sure you're cool with it. Um, Fair amount of cancellation. Um, it's only the teeniest, tiniest bit hyped at 30, and it's cool, but I would make sure that you are cleaning up everything up to that point. Be a little more aggressive with high passing during the mix. There's just a little bit, when we're going to be this extreme, clean up everything that's not actually doing anything for you. So, aggressively high pass, more brick wallet, et cetera, et cetera. We got just like a little bit of flubby stuff down below that critical point. Um, the uh, so this is an MP3 bounce down, so we're getting that like digital over from down sampling. But we're going a little bit beyond like over inner sample peaks, and we have like a bit of audible distortion um, on the downsampling, and it's from that. It's the big pad that's getting you on it. Like we can kind of get away, like when you dial in a master and it's at like minus 0.1, it's really dependent on it being driven by kick and snare. It's kind of how you can get away with that. It's harder to pick up the clips, like they're basically unnoticeable. But it's right here. So, like this section right here, is where we get that kind of like hyper compressed, hyper squishy feel, and it's like some kick side chain bass pad action, and it's just we're losing some stuff right here. Whereas this drop, it's like a click north of like Skrillex. One click over the line. It's really close. I would back off one click. I'm talking like one, just like bank one. And then yeah, it's like right here. This is where I would dial in. And you're a tiny bit skimpy from 100 to 200, and some energy could be focused there to get more perceivable bass. And this is also, those vocal chops are really centered at like 700, and I would maybe consider broadening them out a little bit. It'll also feel a little bit louder if you do. It's not the worst sausage I've ever seen. You could get away with it. I'd be curious about the lossless, like the wave, since this is so, um, since it's so on the edge. We would want to see like original source to a degree, but it's pretty good. I mean, I like the track. Yeah, they go up and down. Well, folks, this is a ton of open studio. If you have been working on something and would like some top-down feedback on your mix, you can just send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and I will give it a listen. There are some guidelines for sending in tracks up top. It's been fun. Cool. I'll check those out, Spock. And I guess fourth has fled. It was a good track. It was good and barely over the line. Yep, just got that email. I'm loading them all up. All right. Bunch of demos. Let's see what's going on. All right. Okay. pretty detailed on the mids. That's awesome. There is like some pretty heavy, useless low end below 20 that I would get rid of. I would also sink some energy into that 100 to 200 for some powerful, beefy bass. And right here, this synthesizer thing that happens, way too phasey. It's like uncomfortable in the room. It hits you pretty hard. So rein in the stereo image on that synth, and basically, like, cool stuff. Yeah, once again, awesome sound design. There's a lot of tracks, so I'm just gonna kind of round robin on through. Scoopy. Cool sounds. Okay. Kind of ill-defined low end. Kick needs to pop out of that low end rumble. We got a lot of garbagey stuff below 30, below 20. It's scooped out in the mids, and that's it. But really, really awesome sound design. People love your sound design. I hope you are finding your samples. People want them. Cool, Anthony. I'll check it out. All right, Spock, that one's got great sound design. Bunch of garbage below 30. Get rid of that. And then basically this whole mix, I would want like from 125 on up, I would just shelf it up like 3 or 4 dB. It's pretty heavy on the low end. It's just like bloop, low end, and then kind of nothing. So that's all I would do there. Oh, also, on that last one, I forgot. The kick and snare were basically like right on top of each other frequency wise. They were just both the snare, the kick was tuned up pretty high, and the snare was dropped down pretty low, and it was just kind of like vaguely oppressive to have them that on top of each other, and it didn't. We kind of want them to have a little bit of space between them so that we get that contrast as it happens. I think this one might be kind of similar. Oh yeah, totally. I mean, they might be made that way, but then in the mix, like that's the thing. Like you make great sounds and then you don't mix them to the track. Is basically what's kind of happening. Your sound design is stellar, but then you have to think of them as part of a bigger organism and then mix them accordingly and then manipulate them past just the raw sound design. So, like right here on this track, snare is crazy low and blowing up at like 120, and then the kick just doesn't exist in the mix at all. And then same thing, we got a whole lot of rumble and noise below 30, and then nothing much happening above 200. And then very, very scoopy in the upper mids. And then an old high school track. Oh no, this is an old Night Star. Really, really, really scoopy. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to put something down for a little bit. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, this original mix is kind of like got the same stuff going on. Really, really overrepresented up to 100. None of that juicy bass from 100 to 200. A lot of useless stuff below 20. And then super scooped in the mids. But sound design is always on point. Like really, really cool sounds. You just gotta uh, you gotta get them into the mix. Okay, Anthony. Let's give this a listen. Happy to have you on stream. Always cool to get new folks in. I'm just gonna gain this up a little bit. Oh, Spock, I'll go back to that missing track, and it's Studio One. All right, Anthony. Very peaceful, very relaxing. Um, so as far as mixing this, um, this is kind of where like a lot of like ambient kind of synth and melodic kind of drony stuff. Kind of you got to think around some inherent stuff. So this is basically bandpassed. Like it goes from 60 to 1K and then basically drops off. So um, it doesn't have any extended low end, and that's like pretty okay. Like we're down to 60, it's well represented. But then everything is pretty crammed into like low mid territory, like 300 to 800. Like we're really, really crowded in there. And then it doesn't have any lift or sparkle. And getting that in a natural way on a track like this can be difficult. Um, what I would generally wind up doing is making some copies of tracks or like on the reverb sends, just try to excite the upper range of this above 4K. First off, what I would do is I would take these, like the piano and the different instruments that come in, and distribute them more evenly up to 2K. Like they're all just trying to compete for like that 500, 600, 700 region, and let's pull them away from there, and then make sure that we've got stuff up to 2K. Like pretty necessary to do. Uh, And then we want to introduce, like after, and as we start to spread things out and we get things a little bit less crowded in the mid range, it's going to feel a little more natural to start lifting the blanket off of the speakers and getting this a little more hi-fi and like full band. Things like modulated reverbs and delays and like granular like reverbs and stuff. You can put some sparkle on those and try to get some like a little bit of hint of definition at like 4K, 6K, 8K, and just kind of get. We would just want to lift this up a little bit, and that's basically what I would say. Keep if you want to keep this as is and not like add instruments and stuff. That's going to be your fight in the mix, is just adding definition to the upper band and the air band and that sparkle and that presence. It's very calm and relaxing. It suffers from a bit of like filteritis, and we need to open up some tops somehow. We need to get that on there. Also, you're doing a lot in the stereo field. I mean, basically, like it's really crammed in the mid-range, and then how you're getting away with it is you're using pretty wide panning, and this is pretty phased out in mono. So make sure you're checking in mono and make sure you're cool with it. I think that you would find that you could pull things in a little more towards the center once you distribute the stuff through the mid-range. You're kind of trying to get away from that crowding through using like some pretty big pan and like stuff. So solving that problem will solve the other problem, and vice versa, so on and so forth. All right, Spock, I'm going to play that track I missed. Oh, Anthony, yeah, you're in a great place with it. And that's where I would take it with the mix. Without like adding other instruments, it's like we just have to add definition to the high end. But it's great. It's a great track. It's really relaxing, really good mellow stuff.
There came a time in my life where I had to make a break and leave it all behind, and that was my mind. My heart and soul stayed with you, gave you full control, and then you left. I don't know what to do. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. I can hear a voice inside and it's telling me to carry on with what's inside. But what's that point? All it does is stress me out and make me out to be the bad guy. Gotta leave this all behind. Don't run, don't hide, just leave it all behind. It doesn't matter anymore. What's she still fighting for? She left me for dead and went for some other guys. Oh, that is. Heartbreak's what it is. Heartbreak's what it is. Long story short, she made my life the best and took it away like a power from a grenade. I'm starting to move on from the things you said and the things you did, or move from my life, and I feel better than ever because now that I realize all you did was baby please, baby fuck me.
Yeah, vocal is crowding at like 400, 500, so it's boxy. The mic is clipping, so that's probably unfixable. And I would just take those vocals and pull like all of them back a little bit and scoop out some of that like middle.
Getting stronger, I'm getting better. Mind power, willpower, mind over matter. I don't give a fuck about you or what you've done. I moved on from a night to a sun, and recently I found the true meaning of a friend. She's accepted me, and she means a lot to me. I just wanted to know that I have been torn in the past, but my wounds are still recovering as the days go past. You know who you is.
Low end is a little bit ill-defined. We've got a lot of like bass and kick.
All of a sudden, yin came back to yang and the balance was restored. My wounds have been healed and my mentality's back with 100 strength. Because I've been through hell and back. This is my story. The story from the past that came through and kicked its ass. This is about an ex-girlfriend that I used to know, but now I've banished her and scrapped her to death. Dr. Death, she's yours.
Yeah, Anthony, if you want to send in more stuff, that's totally cool. Just
This is the official beat of what you mean to me. Nothing. That's exactly what you started as. I never wanted to be a
probably don't want to go through all 7 tonight, but I do this every night starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to send in another 1 or 2, I'm happy to take a listen.
This is my time to lie down all the words that I had of hatred for you. Take it back, another stand. Take it up before my own lead. Take it back, I will pop some lead. I maybe take 2 to the head, it's not at the same time, and I will do it before it's too late. Because of you, I feel like I lied down on my deathbed, taking a little time for my own whatever I said, a redirection for my soul. I take it back and you don't know what you've even accomplished. Yeah, because this is my time to end it. Take back for word for hate. This is my turn to rock around whatever I had. This is my turn to live up whatever my dream is. And you won't get in the way, so don't worry about it. Cause this is my life and I will do what I want. And you can't tell me whatever the fuck I want to do. Cause this is me, get it? Not you. So stay the fuck away from me and live your life the way you want to.
Cool, absolutely, Anthony. Yeah, Spock, I wasn't, nothing was funny. It was just, basically, like, when you're, especially, you know, this is from some high school folks and all that, it's the mic technique of basically, like, blowing out the mic from kind of, like, yelling into probably, like, an SM58 or something like that, and you're blowing the capsule on the way in. It's not even necessarily clipping the interface. It's literally clipping the mic, and it's kind of like, that's happening. So to mitigate that, I would get rid of that mid-range crowding around 500. It's very, very, very mid-range focused, which in some ways is like nice. It's like there's a lot of clarity, but it lacks depth and fullness. So we have to. It's kind of like the opposite of a lot of the stuff that you're sending in, where you're too hyped on the bottom and the top, and then this is too hyped in the middle. So, you know, it's cool. Like, meet in the middle of both of these, and then you're on your way to a solid mix. And then it's like, yeah, there's a lot of garbage below 20. Kick and bass need to have better definition. And that's, you know, it's basically where I take the mix. Cool song, cool track. It happens. All right, Anthony, let's take a listen. And folks, this is a Ton of Open Studio. I am here every single night at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want to send something in, feel free to do so at absolutely any time. Email's down there. It's atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There are some guidelines for sending stuff in up top. I'm going to listen to Anthony's track and Spock. I'll check out one more track. And then if we get like another new person sending in something, I'll stick around. If not, I'm probably going to call it. I've been here for a while. Yeah, track from Anthony, track from Spock. If we get, you know, whenever there's new blood, new energy, it fills me with that, like a little bit of enthusiasm. So we'll see if that happens. Spock, you sent me a video. If you have audio, I will listen to it. Anthony, again, this is really, really cool sound design and very cool sounds. It's good that you're consistent, but it's very similar to the other track in what needs to get dialed in. Mason, what's up? Yeah, it's a bit bandpassed again. We've got a little more this time. We've got like info up to 2K, but we want to extend this up to 20K ideally. And it's a bit phased out. Stuff is pushed too far out in the stereo field, probably for the same like instinctual reason. Good luck getting back into school, and sometimes it's good to take a little bit of time away from something. Okay, so there are two. Yeah, I'll talk about phasing in a second. Let me. I'm gonna stop the track if you don't mind. I think I have a good picture of it. It's really cool. This is really, really cool sound design. I love synth stuff. So okay. Phasing is okay, so like a sound wave goes up and down. I'm gonna kind of explain it in like a pretty simple way. So things go up, things go down. Sound wave go up, sound wave go down, okay? We can get phase cancellation at 2 stages of the mix. We can get direct wave mix down cancellation. Like, let's say if I take like this entire track, duplicate it, and then put it on top of that track and flip the phase so that every wave going up now goes down, and I play it at the same time as the track, it'll make no sound. It completely and totally cancels out. So that's like on an entire, like, oh, everything could phase out. But then it's also like when we're producing, and especially when we're doing like stuff in the low end, bass and kick, and like if we're layering kicks or layering basses, uh, we have to go in and make sure that those low end elements are going. We zoom, like it's probably like the most important thing to do in a mix, in all honesty, and the most tedious and boring. But you go in on the mix and you zoom in until you see the waves, like this. Like this is probably good enough. And then I would like if I was doing kick layering, I would put them on top of each other, blow them up, and then make sure that they go up and down at roughly the same time, because uh, they could cancel out in the track, and then I'll get a weak kick. Um, I just did this rock record, and they used 3 mics to record bass, um, 3 mics and a DI. And it was actually really cool. Like, it was a really cool bass tone, but I had to go into that mix and make sure that all 4 of those bass parts were phase aligned, or else it would fall apart. And it was like make or break for the mix to like get everything dialed in. So that's like waveform phasing within your mix. And then the second phase issue that we can run into is like physical phasing that occurs in the stereo field. And that's where your track is having some issues. And basically, if things are too wide and we're taking sources and like doing like big stereo reverbs, and it's like the same source spread out really far and the stereo like pushed left right like really really hard, like in a reverb situation, or if you've done like some track copying, or a stereo split like a synth or something, if the sound is phasing in space, then it cancels out in mono, if it gets mono collapsed. So for that same principle, wave go up, wave go down. So when you're mixing, you need to check your mono. If you're mixing on headphones, you won't experience it. You got to check it on a speaker. And so you would use like if you're stuck on headphones or you're in a inadequate monitoring environment, you would want to use like a phase correlation meter and see if it's out of phase. Okay, there's our answer. So yeah, so you've taken the exact same sound and panned them out, and then they're going to be at risk for big phasing. So you need to just suck them in more. So to get that effect, you might be better off doing like take that track and yep, headphone mix for sure. That's also why it probably doesn't have a lot of detail in the upper mids and the high end. Very common stuff. So what I would do instead of like splitting the tracks and doing them left and right, because that's where you're especially going to run into issues if you're taking the same thing and splitting it through, is just run it through like a stereo reverb. Put a stereo reverb plugin on, and that's also going to give you the opportunity to like EQ that reverb to have a little more sparkle and life up top. So you're going to kind of like 2 birds, 1 stone this mix. You're going to be able to push like some cool top end modulated glitchy stuff on a verb, and also take care of some of the stereo stuff. But then also you can't push your verb too far, etc., etc. But yeah, any DAW should have some sort of phase correlation meter baked into it, so you can check that. And within modern mixes, there's a degree of phasing that is completely and totally acceptable. The example that I say over and over and over again is like the last 2 Tame Impala records. If you play them in mono, like entire instruments disappear, lead guitar solos and stuff. Like it's pushed way out to the sides, and it has big time phase cancellation, but it's like pretty popular. So who's to judge? But what you got to do is check it and make sure that you're okay with it happening. It'll, if it's like playing back on a phone or a Bluetooth speaker or something, and then like a lot of like venues and stores and stuff that plays music, their mono systems, like a lot of clubs are in mono, and then also like the tighter your stereo field, the less that the listener has to be like dialed in and be like, I'm in the sweet spot of the stereo field. So they can like move around the room and stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, Spock, just saw your track. And Mason, if you're still in here, I was actually going to message you today. We should figure out a time to meet and go through some stuff. Okay, so here's Spock's first track ever. Yeah, Anthony, anytime. And I'm literally doing this every day. So stop by anytime. Share the link around. The more people, the more fun it is, etc., etc. But thank you for the tracks. And that's awesome, Mason. Yeah, it's January is always hard because like everyone's schedules kind of change. Spock, more solid sound design as usual. In all honesty, I almost never reach for an SSL. But that's personal choice. Alright, they're all presets. That's fine. This is your first track. This is cool. Cool. So here is what's up. Uh, cool track, cool composition. Really heavy below 100, and then like not a clear enough distinction between kick and bass down there. Kick is all beater and no body, and that's in all likelihood just caused by bass stepping over the kick. But like this is your first mix, so I don't want to like go like too far in. I don't want to go too hard on it, but like it also speaks to it is your first mix, and I do see that there is a degree of there are some habits that are carrying over even into your more recent mixes. So, uh identifying that that's like a holdover. I do think that your definition between kick and bass has gotten better, but you're still overrepresenting below 100. And then the scooping and the lack of definition up top is still there. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. This is a cool song. Yeah, and once again, like sidechain, yeah, it's probably sidechain, but sidechain is just not as effective as just clearing out room in the frequency spectrum as yeah. And Mason, yeah, I mean, like I just love the Pultec, and like I showed you how to do a bunch of stuff, so I don't want you to just like copy like my stuff, but like I'm reaching for. I just love the Pultec, and it makes a lot of sense to me, and it's all about like that level of like personal stuff, and the SSL is great, and like a lot of people, one of my an engineer who does like my favorite drum mixing. She uses the SSL almost exclusively on drums, and sometimes I send her drum stuff to do, and like I know that the SSL does it. So it has like a lot. It has like a really really nice top and all that. And I use it occasionally, but I'm not as fast as it with a Pultec. Now, the other spicy EQ that I do use, and it's kind of like my, it's more of my go-to for like kind of southernish indie rock. It's like very specific, or like a Tom Petty kind of thing. I'll reach for an API on that, and that's kind of like my move, and that's the vibe. I like the API feel for like a really, really mid-range focused forward rock track. All right. This is a ton of open studio. I'm here every night starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. I have been streaming for a long time tonight, but we're just starting to actually. It was really slow for the first couple hours, but we're starting to have people in. If you are just dropping by, feel free to send a track to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. There are some guidelines to check out. And the yeah, that's it. Yeah, Spock. The Waves Paz is like $30, and it's a solid analyzer. Did spice things up. Thank you. Uh, yeah. I mean, there's free ones. There's probably a free one in FL. But I don't know. Like, I just the Paz is what I personally use and recommend. You have sent a lot of stuff. But have you found your sample pack for Erica? That's that's like pressing stuff. You could be getting your stuff out there. You could be building a business. Oh, realized what? Yeah, I mean that's perfect practice. Go back, pick some old stuff. Yep. Uh, you got to dial in those mids. Cool. Spock, I think I'm gonna sign off for the night. Hope you Yeah. Tonight was a bit slow. We had a little bit of stuff happen. Thanks for sending stuff. Share the link around, spread the word. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and, let's call it for the evening. Keep on mixing. Good work.